Let's start out by seeing who does live to be 100 years of age. Let's start out with billionaires. Billionaires should be able to live to be 100. They have lots of money. They can buy the best drugs. They can hire the best doctors. They can go to the best hospitals. They can hire chefs to cook the way doctors want them to. They can have food flown in from Australia and Paris. They can afford a personal fitness guy hovering over their shoulder telling them what to do and what not to do. Billionaires can afford everything, but according to Forbes magazine just a couple of years ago, there's never been a billionaire ever lived to be 100. There's never been a billionaire ever lived to be 100. And the average lifespan of a billionaire is 78. The average lifespan of a falling down red wine drunk is 75. It's kind of interesting to me that you don't gain much from just money when it comes to health and longevity. I find that very fascinating. Let's look at intelligence. Let's look at Nobel Prize winners. Nobel Prize winners. Say, son, that's a joke. Some of my favorites, of course, are Linus Pauling and Albert Einstein. And there's never been a Nobel Prize winner ever lived to be 100. Yet they have access to knowledge. They can find out things. They know how to find out information. There's never been a Nobel Prize winner ever lived to be 100. My favorite, Albert Einstein, died at 76, 24 years before age 100, of a ruptured aortic aneurysm, which is caused by a breakdown of the elastic fibers in the aorta as a result of a copper deficiency. The first sign of a copper deficiency is what? White, gray, and silver hair. And Albert Einstein was famous for white, gray, and silver hair, right? So it's not intelligence, certainly. So it's not money, not intelligence. Well, maybe everybody needs to go to medical school and be on the cutting edge of all knowledge when it comes to health. Well, if you've listened to the CD or the tape, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, you know my opinion was back in 1993 that the average medical doctor lived to be 58. And why go to a group of people whose average lifespan is 58 for advice on how to live to be 100? They didn't like that, so they ran their own study. And several years later, they came out with their results. It was published in every medical journal. And they said that Wallach lied. The average medical doctor in America does not live to be 58 like he says. They live to be 56. So I do apologize for giving him too many years. And what do medical doctors die from? They die from cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. The things that we go to them for to prevent and to fix if you get it. So medical doctors are not the go-to people for these types of things. Diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's disease. They're not the go-to people. Now, if you're bleeding internally because you've been run over by a truck, you have fourth-degree burns, your heart is stopped, you hope there's a good EMT around, or some good Samaritan in an airport, and they can get the defibrillators. But medical doctors are not the way to live to be 100. They just aren't. And, of course, there's another problem. According to Harvard Medical School, during their waking day, this is Harvard Medical School, Lucian Lepay, the head of the Department of Public Health, which is a division of the medical school at Harvard, he says that the average medical doctor, 52% of them, during their waking day are either gorked out on drugs, either prescription or street drugs, or alcohol. And so if you're going to an emergency room, your prayer should be on the way there, is that the doctor who's going to see you is sober. Now, in April of 1990, the Center for Disease Control of Atlanta, Georgia, and the World Health Organization did a survey on the top 32 industrialized nations. They did about 40 different things on this survey. But the one that jumped out at you, everything else is kind of within a couple of points of each other. But when it came to longevity, life expectancy, out of the top 32 industrialized nations in April of 1990, America came in 17th. There were 16 other countries whose peoples were healthier than us and lived longer than us, even though at that time we're spending 2/3 of the world's annual expenditures for health care. We came in 17th. We were not getting the bang for the buck in 1990. Number one was the Japanese, 79.1, and a lot of that's attributed to the Okinawans, which kind of lift their average lifespan. Just for reference, the French came in 11th at 75.9. Well, 10 years later, World Health Organization, the Center for Disease Control of Atlanta, Georgia, redid the study again, same study. The Japanese remained number one, but they dropped from 79.1 down to 74.5. This is our chance to pass them, because by now we're spending not 2/3 of the world's annual expenditure for health care. Now we're spending 3/4 of the world's annual expenditure for health care. And so now is our chance to pass them. The Japanese dropped from 79.1 in that 10-year period down to 74.5, yet they remain number one in longevity. The French moved up from 11th to 3rd, yet they dropped from 75.1 down to 73.1, dropped 2 years in average lifespan, but they moved up in ranking from 11th to 3rd. American doctors